Yeah, a citizen committee will present their findings to the school board tonight. So it was not too long ago that Seattle Public Schools implemented this change. After that fact, the University of Washington did a study on the impacts of this to students with some great results. Researchers found that students slept an average of 34 minutes more a night. Sandy Hallstrom and Jessica Ravelas are parents of both middle school and high school students. They are also both members of a committee that was formed by the Olympia School Board in spring to evaluate later school start times. Hallstrom says through research, the committee has found sleep deprivation impacts the mental and physical health of adolescents. That's why both Hallstrom and Ravelas are hoping the school board decides to implement later school start times.
It'll really help with their ability to focus in class. It'll help with their overall mood and their ability to just engage with the world.
That's really what this focus is about, is having healthy, safe children who can then go on and do things academically.
Hallstrom did say that support for later start times among parents and others in the community has actually gone down from 86% to 64%. Parents with elementary kids who rely on their high schoolers to watch their siblings after school are also concerned. They're also concerned when it comes to earlier transportation. But still, after a second community survey, the majority of those who responded were in support of the change. Now, the committee will talk all about their findings to the school board tonight. Then it will be up to them to decide what to do next.